This is Hog Farmer Chris from the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. And before you start listening to Red Zone in the Lab, check out our Amazon Smile, a simple way to support the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation every time you shop, and it's no cost to you.
We're back! Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab with Deuce.
Welcome to a brand new season of the Red Zone in the Lab podcast, where nothing is off the table. We will be discussing entrepreneurship, education, Black history, health, movies, family, and of course, sports. So do yourself a favor, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow on all social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, you can always visit us at redzoneinTheLab.com.
Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, and entering the lab today is the host of the Breaking Command podcast. We got in the building. D Mitty is in the building. DH is in the building. And when you hear his voice, yes, you have heard that voice before, as he is the voiceover actor that usually help me out a lot, man. I do appreciate it. Didi, what's good today, man?
Feeling good, feeling great. How about you, boy?
I'm feeling good, DH.
Hey man, like I said, bro, I forgot that I was the intro on this joint. So I'm back listening, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is my voice. But yeah, I'm glad to be back in the lab with you, man.
Yeah, man, reach out to him, man. He does, man, a lot of work for me. Man, it's been an honor, man. I always call him up, man. I got somebody that do voice, man. When I first, it's crazy because when we first started talking about it, is because you was doing the the Dusty Rhodes impressions. My man, I was like, man, he real good at that. Let me reach out. So he's literally an act like we have a superstar, a celebrity, a Hollywood guy literally in the building, in the pocket. I got his cell number. I got his Instagram. I got his Twitter. I got somebody in the pocket, man.
Just listen, Daddy. When the American Dream Dusty Rhodes come on a theme, Daddy, you know it's gonna be a good time, Daddy. We in the lab.
I love it. I love it, man.
Sir.
So yeah, man, all of us kind of met through Spaces, right? We kind of built this community on Spaces. We communicate back and forth. We talk about football. That's what brought us to this franchise. Has brought us together, and it kind of started like new things, like meeting up in person and hanging out and sharing different things about each other's families. And that's how, like, us three, like, everyone is not like that. I don't want to give anyone that impression, but it's a certain vibe that you have with certain people that you're willing to open up a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And that's kind of like where we are here now with YouTube, creating this podcast, the Breaking Command podcast. So like starting, because this is something new for you, Mitty. So, how did you feel when the opportunity was presented to you to start this new venture?
Man, it was a long time coming, man. I'm glad. Let me first say thank you for bringing me back on the platform. But it was a home run, because when you look at the podcast, like the whole platform as a whole, you need that 1-2 punch. Not a lot of podcasts make it just off of one solo artist, if you want to put it that way. But all that to say, man, it came organically, man. Me and him just kind of hit it off on Twitter Spaces, because we had the same mindset. And then he pointed out to me, and I thought to myself, I do remember hearing him on 980 calling in behind each other to an extent. Almost it was calculated, not calculated really, but say all that to say, man, when you have somebody who, like you said before, who's a professional, who's doing it, who knows what he's doing, and then to reach out to you and say, hey man, we kind of got the same kind of flavor. How would you feel about joining this podcast platform? Oh man, I've been waiting to do it, so it was a no-brainer for me.
Man, and DH, like, you're like the big unk to us, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've been in this business, you've been doing this for years. Man, we're just starting out, you know what I'm saying? Questions come up, anything, like, we always reach out to DH, man. I'm learning how to plug the podcast just out of nowhere, just how to plug things out of nowhere. But you've been doing this a while. What made you reach out to someone like Mitty that's really, inexperienced, because he's never really done it? Like, he's been on platforms before, but he's never actually had to go through with scripts and different things like that. What made you reach out to Mitty?
Well, I mean, I've always, and I'll just take it back a second. Like, I've always been one to kind of be like, in these creative spaces, a lot of people don't get a chance to like showcase their talent and showcase what they have. And I think now technology has created a platform to where, in the opinion, there's a market for that, right? So with the D&D football podcast, essentially started in 2022 with my 2021, excuse me, my partner Darnell, who's a Cowboy fan. So we would talk about just the NFL as a whole. But as the name was changing, and I kind of just really wanted to talk about more Commanders-based things. So linking up with D Mitty, like he said, man, we kind of already knew each other, but didn't. You know what I'm saying? And just bringing them along to start the podcast. And like I said, man, if y'all have listened to any episodes, man, we like to have fun. It's a good time, and just try to give our perspective, of the games, just from us, because I know a lot of times my whole reason for starting in the industry really was that I got tired for sports talk radio of hearing the same voices and the same types of voices, with the same content, right? So you miss the barbershop aspect, because some of your radio hosts don't go to a barbershop, they go to a haircuttery.
That's true. That's facts.
It's no shade, but I'm just saying, like, you kind of miss the flavor and the other side of those arguments. So I think with Breaking Command, it's kind of giving putting our spin on what we see with the Commanders, and just the vibe that we have is really truly just like just fellas hanging out and talking. You know what I mean?
And that's big, because especially with COVID and our whole way that we interact with each other, being social has a totally different meaning now. Like, to be able to have these type of platforms where you can interact with each other, I think is big. And your point about creating a platform like that's also how I kind of look at it, right? Is that, even in spaces, I tell people, like, you're content creators too, because you're on a platform, you're speaking, you're giving your takes, you're doing it. So don't ever say, like, I don't do content. You do. That's literally what we are in that sense. And just being able to go around to different spaces and pull different people out to say, hey, come look, you want to come? Because people, like, the people in spaces, rather content creators, believe it or not, they are very knowledgeable when it comes to their respective teams, right? And they just don't have the platform other than spaces. But sometimes people want their face to be shown, to have an actual structure, to say, hey, look, this might be something I want to do. And maybe they want to go that route, saying, hey, look, it's not, because you just, like, it comes to a point where you'll be surprised at how many people reach out and say, hey, look, what did it take to get started? How much did it cost to get started? Because it's really like a fear to think that, man, I got to get a camera, I got to get a mic, I got to get this. And nah, man, you spend like $50 and you get you started on a podcast. Is very.
That was my mindset.
And in most cases, you don't even need that. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting over the hump of, like, actually, it's doing the work. It's literally like doing your research, talking, finding your topics, and recording. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people just and I don't mean to step on your toes, Deuce. I just think that a lot of people, they just, like, are afraid to fail as well. You know what I'm saying? And will be like, only 10 people watch the video. So
what?
People then, like, you're not Stephen A. Smith. You're not gonna have a hot take every day. You're not, you're not Uncle Shay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not that. Just if you realize and just stay in your lane with what you are and what your content is, it'll slowly build and slowly grow. And if you're doing it for the passion of it, I don't even look at views. I just try to create a good show with D Mitty, and I don't care who watches it. I share it to everybody. I don't care who watches it. For me, I'm fulfilled. So at the end of the day, if it's two views, one for me and one for D Mitty, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Yeah, because I tell, and every now and then I post it, because and I have to keep telling myself this, because the more you do, the more people kind of react to it. The more people, like you see, the more views you get, you begin to want more and more. And like, what can I do to get more and more? But I keep telling you so. I keep telling myself, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. And if I can keep that, like, in my mind, I can just keep doing it because I love it. I'm not doing it for this. If that stuff comes, then amen. But that's not my goal and I have to make sure I always keep that in front of me.
Absolutely, man. It makes perfect sense the way I just put it, man, because my mindset was that how you said, Deuce. Like I was like, man, do I need all this? Do I need like a studio setup and everything? Man, I was looking at booking like time at a podcast when he hit me up because like you said, I'm like, man, this dude here professional, bro. Looking at like, bro,
He
looking
got
at
the
his
same.
follow.
He got the pictures set up with his body in the middle of the pictures.
My setup can be intimidating because if y'all can see over here, like what I got over here. So, but it can be if you get a chance to look at it, but you don't need it. You know what I'm saying? You don't need it. I had to tell her to D-Minute. I'm like, bro, you need A, B, and C and a good internet connection, and we good. That's it.
Yep. So all right, Breaking Command. Where did that name come from?
Well, I'll take this one, D-Minute. I think once the name changed, it's like all the good names went away. So anything involving command was like tough. So like I was talking to D-Minute. I was like, bro, because that's one thing. Like I'm normally good with names, but I was like flush out. So I said, D-Minute, what you do, bro? And he came up, he was like, I'm a Breaking Command. Say less. I looked out. I was like, I don't see nobody with it. I was like, all right, bet. Breaking Command, a D&D football podcast. That's really how it came about, bro. Ain't no magical story where I was walking through the park and the name just hit me like a light. I was like, it must be, but no, it wasn't.
Right, because when you think about it, when the name changed for the organization, you knew all the content creators had to flip the switch then. And I was thinking to myself at the time when he brought up, I was like, bro, it's no way you can flip that Commanders, bro. It's no way to flip it. But then then what dawned on when I sent him the text message, because he was texting back and forth, like, bro, we need to come with a name. You need to come with a name. I'm thinking I'm under pressure. I had to meet a deadline. So I was like, man, shoot. And the Breaking Command just came on top of my head, bro, just through sheer conversation.
All right, man. That's because that's usually how it is, right? You come up with the name, you might got 2-3 names off of that. You start going to your databases, you start going to the different sites to make sure nothing else come up, nobody else have it, and you just kind of go from there. But it has to be something that, for me, it has to be something that I can kind of relate to be able to put out there, because everything I put out there, some way, somehow, like I need to relate to it. Even if I'm just producing a show and it's other hosts and all I'm doing is in the background producing, I still need it to relate to me because it's part of me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, facts, and it kind of once we fleshed the name out and kind of thought about it, it was like, well, that's kind of what we wanted to be, because when news breaks, we want to be able to get on and record. So it's gonna be Breaking Command. You know what I mean? So and it's almost kind of with that, it kind of gives you a little punch where it feels important every time you record. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, man, that's that's crazy, man. Hey, look, when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the origins, because you know sometimes when you first start out, I got a funny story. How when I first started out, how I thought this was gonna be an easy process when it came to like editing and recording and all that stuff. But we gonna go to this commercial. We'll be right back.
The calendar says that summer is ending soon, but we're still outside. So when it's time to hop in your ride, make sure you book the best mobile detailing service in the DMV, Miles Detailing. Call 240-273-4018 or contact on Instagram at Miles Detailing to book your service today. Mention Red Zone in the Lab podcast for 10% off detail services only. Ride in style with Miles Detailing, that is.
Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab with Deuce.
All right. So when I first thought about doing a podcast, right, I have a producer, Jay Smith. She's like, she used to cut my hair, photographer. She does the whole nine, like weddings and all that stuff, right? So I've been talking to her about it for a long time. She's like, okay. So once I finally got some little small equipment to start off, and I did like a introduction to the podcast, like what I'm gonna be doing, what I'm gonna be talking about, whatever, see how that process worked. And it was like 12 minutes. So I went in to this little program I had, did a little editing, cut it up, whatever, sent it to her. She posted whatever. I'm like, man, this is easy. I can just knock this out. The next show was like 45 minutes, bro. I was editing that job for like 3 hours. It seemed like I was like, whoa. So the first year really intimidated me. The first year I only did like 5 shows, bro. Like for a whole like year and a half, all I did was like 5 shows because I was just so intimidated. When it comes to you all, and of course, he been here, done that. You know what I'm saying? So how was that process, especially for you, Mitty, for the first time saying it, and like how does that whole process work?
So I wanna give my man more flowers because I don't think he understands. We might be laughing, but let's give this man real flowers though, bro.
Yeah.
We will record late at night, bro. Every time we record, it's after 8 o'clock, bro. This man will record, and he'd be like, man, look, I might get it done tonight. I might edit it tonight. I might chop it up tomorrow. It was some days we'll set a time to record at night, but then have to come back the next day. So all that to say, man, trust me, man, this man get it in. He burns the midnight oil, bro. And when he edits, bro, he come through. It's like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, bro. I watch a lot of podcasts. That's the number one of the number one reasons why I want to do it. I watch a lot of them, listen to a lot of them. When this man chop it up and edit them joints, bro, he knows what he's doing.
Hey man, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I like flowers, man.
I got you.
I do. I say this, man. Editing may be one of the toughest parts of the audio game, only because, especially if you're doing it yourself, because you've literally sat and recorded the whole podcast, right? So normally ours is 42 minutes, right, D-Me? 42 minutes. So we just recorded it. So a lot of times, and just like I think even with editing with the podcast and like anything, like if you're writing a paper or something like that, sometimes you write something, you got to kind of let it sit a little bit, let it settle, you know what I mean? And then they even allow some ideas to come through. So sometimes, depending upon when the game is, like, okay, the game be on Sunday, we would try to record by Friday, right? Then if something happens on Friday, we got to record Saturday. So if we record a Saturday, I'm editing Saturday night. And it's been sometimes where we record Sunday morning and I'm dropping that joint at like noon, right before the 1 o'clock kickoff. But it's like the more time you give yourself, the better it is for your editing process. But I've noticed with editing our stuff, because like we said a lot of funny things, right? And I think with and a lot of creators associate with this, but like in your life, like you almost feel like you're in a show, right? Where like things happen and like you wish you could just cut to a scene, or like you could look at the camera, right? So a lot of times when we're recording, I'll have this stuff in my head, or I'll take a note. So when I go back and edit, I'll drop a clip right here of something stupid. So like when we did what's the segment we do, D-Mitty? The fun one. I keep forgetting. Let's get wild. Yeah. See, I'm mind tripping already. When we do Let's Get Wild, it was something crazy, like real dumb. I said, and then I was like, I dropped the Chris Tucker joint. What did you say to me? Like just stuff like that in there. And like it's like literally like a 2-second clip, but it's like it's worth it. So it's like a lot of times if I give myself some time, I can kind of put that in, or like because we try not to cuss on the show, but when we do, I try to make it like a funny sound. So like it's something dumb, or like you have an emoji on the screen, something like that. So it's just less in the post-production, just trying to build up the quality of it. Even though what we're saying is good stuff, we have great points, some hot takes, but it's like, what is that? What are you going to do like in the 30th minute when people have been listening to your voice the whole entire time? How are you going to keep them listening to you, especially if what you're saying is what everybody else is saying? Like, okay, yeah, we know Taylor Heinicke is a pretty average quarterback. They're gonna, do their best. They're gonna play defense. They're gonna run the ball. Like everybody has said that all week. True. And especially if you're recording on Friday or Saturday, they've heard it all week. So you got to keep them going, keep them in there. So when you drop that line, that's when you drop it. You know what I'm saying? The F it Terry down there somewhere, picture it. You like, now you got the moment. So it's just, I said all that to say, the editing is the toughest part of the show. And I think anybody that does any type of editing will tell you the same, because that is what can make or break a show, whether it's visual or audio.
And it's crazy, especially if you have more than one that you got to cut up, right? Like that's the toughest part, and you try to find little ways to to kind of help you in post-production, either like while you're producing, try to do things during the show, add things during the show. But like I learned a lot of that from DH, like I remember when he came on my show, he's like, all right, it's done. Let me go to next thing I know, he was like cutting up like little show. Like, whoa, this is what's this? I said, oh, that's what they do. You know, they cut up little stuff and throw it out there. But I was like, oh, okay. So
By
it's
by doing that, you get in touch with the algorithm.
yeah.
So those short videos and short clips, that's how they get to your site. So they see 20 seconds of me doing an impression of Fred Smoot, and they're like, man, that's funny. Let me go watch the rest of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, but it's a learning experience. You keep learning, keep trying new things, and for me, just keep asking questions. Keep asking questions. So, 42. That you said the show like why 42?
So it's crazy.
Let me take this one.
Go ahead.
This one. Because just like Let's Get Wild, just like the whole podcast, it became organic. Because we'll start off, like he said, we'll start off pre-show, just kind of chit-chatting, going over the show sheet, whatever. And then the first episode we recorded, that's the mark we hit. Literally, the first episode is 42 minutes. Then the second one, he pointed it out. Bro, we just really ended at 42 minutes. So it was a consistent thing after the first two episodes.
That's crazy.
It literally was like that. Like, and it wasn't, and I think because I keep of course we got the clock up here, but I kind of keep a clock in my head of how long we're talking about certain things or how short we talk about certain
things. That's elite. I can't do that. Like I literally need that clock.
You got somebody that can bounce it off, and when you truly got somebody that you can kind of let wrangle the show, because that's really my niche. Like when I've been doing shows, like, bro, I've been doing different types of podcasts and stuff for like over 10 years. So I will always be like the host or the wrangler, not because I want the most points, but because I try to keep everybody on time, trying to have the listener's ear to make sure we're not talking about stuff for too long.
Yeah.
Making sure that somebody might say something impactful and you might need somebody to be able to touch on that again. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like doing different things like that. So throughout talking, kind of like we were talking like literally like 20 minutes. Like it was just talking, just chopping it up before the show, just like catching up, what's going on, family. Like, did you see that play? Like stuff like that. And you kind of get a vibe of what we're gonna talk about for the rest of the show. And then it was just happening, like it was like episode after episode. It was ending like 42 minutes. And I was just like, that's odd. But I was like, yeah. It's like it truth be told, most of the episodes, unless we have a guest or something, it was like literally like anywhere between 40 and like 46 minutes. Like we found that was kind of like our sweet spot. And if you watch hour-long program, that's how long an hour-long TV show is.
It's like 40. Yep, that's true.
40.
Of course, you would know that because you've been in the movies and sitcoms.
Dropping them nuggets.
See you say.
Dropping them nuggets. There you go.
Like that.
I'm learning, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's the hardest thing. That's why a lot of people like you just can't like when you have a guest in mind. Like for me, I'll have a guest in mind, even if it's like someone in the media or just someone on Spaces. I have the thought. I kind of keep them in the back of my head because I need to take a few weeks to see how I will go about having a show with this person, interviewing this person. I can't just think of somebody, oh yeah, you want to come on the show? No, it doesn't work like that. Like, especially for me, I have to process it before I'm actually able to even like think about what the show, the way that I'm going to gear the show. But yeah, man, it sounds really intimidating, but once you get the hang of it and once you get in tune, but again, like not getting paid for it, you have to love it. Like you have to enjoy doing it because it does not benefit you at all. It doesn't benefit because like, and I tell people all the time, is like, if you really want to do this, you have to be willing to give up something that you love. And it can't be church. It can't be your family. It can't be work, right? You have to give up. Like I haven't played PS5 in like a year and a half, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to give up those things that you like to do in order for you to really be able to enjoy this. Because you don't want like your wife walking around upset. You don't want your pastor calling you saying why you ain't coming to church. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
You know what? And that's one thing that I think me and D-Mitty do well. Like, so around maybe like Wednesday, we would start texting like, all right, what's your schedule like for the end of the week? I'm like, I'm working, or I got to do this. Or he'd be like, I'm working, I got to do this. Son got a game. I'm like, okay, I'm coaching this weekend, blah, blah, blah. So communicating and really just finding your sweet spot, because like you said, we aren't getting paid for it. So it's kind of a hard sell if you're missing things that are important, especially family things, so you can record your stupid little podcast in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, But luckily, I think with most of our significant others, they kind of understand the
Yep.
passion and they're in tune with it. So they give us time to do stuff like that, and that's why a lot of times I like to go late because my house is shut down after a certain time. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier for me to kind of do stuff and burn the midnight oil, as you said earlier, D-Mitty. But you got to communicate that whether you're getting paid for it or whether you're not getting paid for it. You still got to communicate your needs for the show and your availability.
Yeah, that's why I got this wall. It's 4 walls, but this is the only wall I got, and it took 2 years to get it because I had to commit that I was going to do this in order to change this wall.
Right.
All right, man. Look, man. Originally it's supposed to be 25 minutes, but I have really been enjoying this part with you all, man. If I like I always tell people, I know your time is valuable. So if you got a few more minutes, we chop it up. All right, bet. So let's get into the Commanders. Let's get like little season recap of the Commanders. We'll start with Mitty. Just give me just a little bit of the season from beginning to end.
Man, I'm gonna be honest, man. The whole Carson Wentz trade threw me for a tizzy, bro. I want to start there because I was just like, how the heck we gonna settle this daggone quarterback thing? And I rode his like train like Carson Wentz is the man for us, bro. Carson Wentz is the man for us, bro. Then that daggone Heineke, bro. That Heineke, that hive is real, bro. Hive is real. But on the field, though, man, to be perfectly honest, man, I love what the defense did. And I really give the coaches kudos because it was games when you felt like they weren't going to be ready, but you can tell the coaches got them ready. And I'm not saying that you didn't think they were going to be ready. You didn't think that they will amount up to this particular team. And you can see the coaches got them ready for that game. And kudos to the coaches. Kudos to Derek Ford stepping up because he was one of my guys. Him, St. Juice, and Patterson, to me, are my guys. Those are my unsung heroes on the team. I've always been rooting for them. And to see 2 out of 3 of them to get that shine this year, man, I'm really proud of those guys. Revo getting all pro, you know what I mean? But those last 6 games, man, that's why I don't have no hair, bro. Them last 6 games, man. Jeez, like and if you go back to the Breaking Commands podcast, me and DH talked about it. Like we just knew, like, bro, all we gotta do is just win these last couple of games. But when they got to that San Francisco game, me and him both was like,
ain't gonna happen.
It's hard. It was hard to look past that game, bro. It was hard to put that Washington team in the winning circle against that San Francisco team, bro.
It was tough, man. And DH, like for me, that Sunday night game against the Giants, bro, like I've never been that excited about this team in maybe 20 some odd years. I mean, I was kind of there with in 2012. But really, man, I was so excited. I just knew we were going to win. And I haven't knew we was going to win a game in a long time, bro. And that game, I was there. It was freezing. My wife, daughter was there. They cold. It's freezing. They there. We hanging out. And they, oh, man, after that, man, my confidence just dropped, bro. But the season recap coming from you, man.
So I say this, man, like you said, man, this was one of the first seasons in a while that I was kind of all in, right? I mean,
you went to
bro. I went to the
games,
first 5 games.
First 5 games, you know what I'm saying?
I was on the road. For Detroit and Dallas, and I'm like, bro, I was like, I'm really all in. Like I was all in, and then like I was like, okay, so it felt good, you know what I'm saying, being able to travel and go support your team. It was a fun time for that. But the fact that we wasn't winning games. If I had the season in one word, I would just say a roller coaster because, I mean, at times we look great. Like against Philly, the second time we looked great, and then we looked terrible against the Giants. You know what I'm saying? It was just like it was just so much. It was too much, man. It definitely had me in an emotional place. I was upset sometimes. I was happy sometimes. I was cautiously optimistic. But I was always rooting for my Tar Heels. I was always rooting for my guys. And of course we'll get into that later. But no, man, I just say the season was just a roller coaster, man. It was just it's kind of what we've been for the past couple of years. We've been a pretty middle of the road team and take the long way to get there. So that's essentially how we turned out this year. it's always hope for next year, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's all we got. I mean, what else are we gonna do? What else are we gonna do, man? So let's talk about the offensive coordinator. All right. So it just came out, Nikki Javala of the Washington Post just said that we requested the interview assistant head coach, running backs coach Anthony Lynn for the OC job. So I think that's a like that right there. I like that. I like that we're requesting to interview him. I'm quite sure they will grant it. And that's only because of Ron Rivera. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these hires that's coming, a lot of these guys that's coming in here is really because of like Ron Rivera, not because of Dan Snyder, especially coming from under Shanahan. But the OC search. So this is number 6, I believe, for the OC search if they grant permission. But DH, where are you as far as the guys that they've already brought in, and ultimately, what do you believe that they're going to do?
I'll say this, man. Losing Scott Turner, I think, was a plus for the young guys there. And if the plan is to truly start 14 next year, I think giving him a fresh outlook with a new coordinator is definitely what he'll need to be successful. Now, with that being said, I also think this is a lame duck year for anybody they bring in. Okay. I just think with the new ownership coming in, unless Ron Rivera find a way to get to the Super Bowl next year or make a deep playoff run where he's playing, 2 weekends into the playoffs, I believe that he's gone. So then you get a whole flush of the staff. So I've kind of been not necessarily out on offensive coordinator. I just kind of haven't really cared too much because I think after 2024, it's a whole reset anyway, as far as the coaching staff. In the interim, though, I just want somebody there that can truly help where we were bad at last year, which is the red zone and consistent play calling. And of course, I want Sam to succeed. I just want whoever's there to truly allow him to do what he can to run the plays that he can run that are his strengths. And I think we only saw just a little taste in the final week against Dallas. But I think whoever's here, man, I think they know that it's a 1-year gig. I would prefer somebody younger, somebody more innovative, so that might be the thing where if we ball out on offense, Ron may step down, and then, a young guy can come in and lead the team. But I definitely think it's going to be a lame duck year for whoever they bring in, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's whoever comes in here, they're going to have to understand that this may be a rental league, right? I mean, a rental year, 1-year rental year. And for me, I always said that I think it's going to be someone that wants to kind of add play calling to their resume to help them the following year, because they know that they're going to come here and call plays. Like that's what we're hiring them for, and to be able to work with a young quarterback, right? So if this doesn't go as planned, that they can be successful with that quarterback and hopefully help them. And on the flip side, the team could be horrible and they can be included in that and they could just drop points when it comes to next year. But what's your take on the OC position, Mitty?
So for me personally, and this is why me and this guy here work well together, because he basically was alluding to what I was saying about that 1-year rental, what you were saying. So for me, I think that my other co-host, but for me, I want to see somebody that's not just a 1-year rental. I want to see somebody that may be like in college. You know how they have that coaching waiting?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have a thing for Byron Leftwich. For one, not because he's black, but for one, because he can relate to the locker room. 2, I think he calls the game differently than what people see because they look at it from a Tom Brady aspect. They don't look at it from a Byron Leftwich playbook. I think he can get the running backs like B-Rob and Gibby. I think he can get them in the right position to help us in the red zone. And I think that for me, I would rather see somebody like him or Thomas Brown. But if after them doing the interview with Anthony Lynn, they may be going minority. I don't know. But at the end all be all, I just wanted to be somebody that's going to help this offense score more than 19 points a game.
We have to score. I mean, you know, it's very rare that you have a game like San Fran and Dallas so far in the playoffs. Like you want somebody, you want to be able to put at least 23, 24 points on the board, man, to be able to have a chance, especially in the playoffs. But your point on Byron Leftwich, I find it kind of odd, but I'm not surprised that all of a sudden they have a bad year. Now he's not a candidate anymore. That's crazy to me. Did you literally see the first 3 years? Like, did you see that? You know what I mean?
Right.
But you have all these other coaches out here that's also got fired, that's also didn't produce this year, but they're top candidates. But you know,
Shannon Sharp said on the show that Tom Brady has a bad year and everybody else takes the heat for it.
Yep.
And Byron Leftwich, before Tom Brady got there, did well with Jameis Winston.
Yep.
Last year he interviewed for the Jacksonville job and didn't take it because he couldn't get full control of the roster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now all of a sudden he's just a bad coordinator, and everybody in Tampa Bay is just changing the whole direction of the franchise. With Tom Brady not gonna be there, you changing the offensive coordinator who's been good and been solid. So I didn't like that move at all by them.
Me either. It doesn't look right. Tom Brady looks 60 years old. And I mean, like when you think about, like, we say these guys are old at like 38, 39 in football years, but they step out of there, they look like 30, 49. You know what I mean? This dude literally looks like 60 years old. Like his skin looks pulled back. He looks bad. You know, like that guy is severely old, man. He's not taking no hits. He's not scrambling. He's not doing any yet. You know, he wasn't there during the summer for the most part. You know, he dogging them dudes, like he talking down to him. Like that whole situation is bad. For them to kind of loop Byron Leftwich in that, man, we know what the issue is. And let's talk about, like, I just want to get my point while I'm here about the Rooney Rule. Like, the Rooney Rule is fine, right? But the issue with the Rooney Rule is that it applies to positions that's already final, right? Offensive coordinator, head coach. That rule needs to go down a little further. It needs to be applied to offensive assistants, quality control, ball boys. Like, that's what that rule needs to be, because that's where the growth starts at. Like, that's the farm. You need to put that rule to the farm, and not just to, like, when it's blossoming, all OCs and all that, because that's where we need that diversity and actually be doing something to be able to change this. If they don't do that, it's going to continue to be the same thing over and over. And we cannot not take jobs, right? We can't not go interview for a job. That's why you have this Texans situation. That's why when people say, well, I don't think the Texans job is going to be a good job because what they've done with these last two coaches. Bro, the team was a mess. They needed somebody to fill in. So they said, we'll just pay them so they can fill in. And now we got all this cap. We got all this draft capital. So let me get somebody else in here and put them out. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm glad Lovey went for the 2 point.
Yeah,
for the 2
for
point,
real, bro.
for the 2 point conversion. Because think about it. It's insane, bro. They're going to be paying 3 head coaches for 3 years. That's crazy to me, man.
It is, but going back to what you said about the farm system real quick, Sean McVay, Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur, all them guys, because I know them from Washington or know about them through Washington. Like, that's why, like you said, that farm system, that Rooney Rule needs to be implemented for them as well, because how else are you going to be able to groom somebody in coaching if you're not allowing them the opportunity? So I like where you went with that one.
And Deuce, real quick, I'll piggyback on that. The Rooney Rule touched me like crazy, because when Jeff Saturday got that job, even though the Rooney Rule doesn't apply to interim coaches, man, but when it touched in that situation, it really pissed me off, because I know specifically, right, when I was in Detroit, there was a coach there who was an assistant coach for 20 years, never got any type of looks at a coordinator, never got any type of looks at a head coach. Granted, it does take a different person to be a head coach, but a lot of times you don't know who those guys are unless you give them the opportunity to do that. Dude, you didn't know how much you was going to love doing a podcast until you actually did some podcasts, right? So somebody has to give you an opportunity, whether it's you or whether it's, somebody that really wants to work with you. They got to give you an opportunity to do that. And I think a lot of times, Coach John Thompson said this a long time ago. We don't want the job. Like, you don't have to give us the job. We just want the same opportunities as the other guys. So we want to be able to fail too. You know what I'm saying? That's not saying that as soon as we get a job, we're gonna be successful or just give it to us because we black. Nah, we want the opportunity to get in some of these systems to get the same amount of money back in, the same amount of guys on your staff to be able to be successful. And if we don't succeed, then that's cool. That's on us. But we gotta at least get a chance to get at the table. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense. And that whole Jeff Saturday, like me and you went and we was going in them rooms, man. Like, man, y'all still like we were hot. You know, it wasn't nothing to joke about. I ain't want nobody doing no jokes about it or nothing because it was wrong. Like, you're not going to tell me that they hired him because he went in the office, banged on the desk, and said, "We are winners." So all of a sudden, he's the right guy because of that.
And he a Tar Heel, bro. So you know I love my Tar Heels, bro. I couldn't support it. Now, if he came in and won, you know, those games and been successful, called me a fool. Give me a 20-piece crow to go. Like I would have taken it. But he came in and did what I could have done. I could have coached him to a losing record. Yeah, I could have helped y'all tank. Give me the job.
Gosh, man. Look, when we come back, we're gonna talk about that Tar Heel, Sam Howell. We also gonna get into a couple off-season expectations to see like where do you think this team should go? Not will go, but should go, because from history we pretty much know where they're gonna go.
Hi, I'm Christian Miles, native Washingtonian and real estate agent servicing the Washington metropolitan area. I started my career as an investor and later transitioned to the residential side. I really wanted to leave the investor side because I wanted to connect with people. Building relationships is important to me. I understand the buying and selling process can be challenging. I get it. I've been there. I'm a mom, wife, friend, and neighbor. I absolutely love helping families and connecting with people. Going through the home buying and selling process is stressful enough. When working with me, I make it fun. As a realtor, I think it's important to be able to connect with you. Every detail is important, no matter how small. Let me take care of the heavy lifting while you focus on the joys of finding a new home. Something I live by, people may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. With me, it's an experience.
Edit. That's an edit. All right, Sam Howell. First of all, let's talk about that game against Dallas. DH with the with the wardrobe change. So let's talk about that game with Dallas, and we're gonna start with DH, of course. No, matter of fact, check this out, man. So I bring my wife to training camp, right, to help me get autographs, right? To do 2 pots, right? She carrying around North Carolina stuff for DH to get autographs. We on a hunt for 3 specific, two players or 3, did we? 3 specific players to get autographs for DH. So he got me, my wife running around trying to get autographs.
And she always have a special place in my heart for that day at training camp, bro. Real live. I just need to see Sam, Diami, and Cole. That was it. And one of the 3, it worked out.
Yeah, man. So
shout out to Miss Red Zone.
So what you saw in that game, was that anything different than what you've seen from him over the past 2 years? 3
years. So watching his full career, man, and I say this all the time, I've seen every throw. Been able to see it on different levels, been able to see the game, been able to see some of them with some game tape, been able to do, see it kind of differently and kind of know what's going on. I think the game against the Cowboys was 1/20th of the type of quarterback he can be in the league. Because if you watch anything at Carolina, you see he has the big playability. He can sling it. He can throw it deep. He can run the ball. He's tough. He's had limited injuries. He has a great build for a guy that can, continue to move the ball. And you see what's been working, right? Jalen Hurts, Danny Dimes for the extended period of the season and then into the first round of the playoffs. Being able to have a quarterback that can move a little bit, that makes the game easier for you, and it opened up some new windows. So by him doing what he did against the Cowboys, 11-19, didn't break 200 yards, got a rushing touchdown, got a passing touchdown, did have a bad throw interception, but you take it. I feel like as long as he's coached up, as long as you got a system that can tailor to what he can do well, we have the skill players that I think can make anybody look good. I mean, they made Taylor Heineke look good, and that's no shade to him. Okay, I'm just keeping it a buck. They made him look superb, so much so that some of these plays that was getting made, like you couldn't even dream of these happening. But I believe that Sam, for me, of course, I just want to see him get an opportunity. I want to debunk that 5th round myth that he ain't gonna be nobody because he got drafted in the 5th round, when a year previously he would have been the top quarterback taken. Like, you don't fall off the board like that, especially with no personal issues as well. Like, he don't have no issues. So for him to fall like he did, it's just more of an opportunity to pull himself back up. But I said all that to say 2023, Sam Howell will show the world that we won't have to draft another quarterback for a couple seasons. And I feel like he's done it in college. He came on campus first day at Carolina and said, I'm the guy. They flipped him from Florida State. He came on campus, said, I'm the guy. Started every game in his tenure there, even playing in a bowl game that he didn't have to play in. You know what I'm saying? Different things like that. He's a team guy. He's a great leader, and he's my quarterback.
So just for y'all to know, like, I don't watch college football, right? I really don't. I pick 1 or 2 people that I really, really like, and I just do some tape on it, and like, this is who we need to draft. But I have 2 people that I go to. Well, actually, it's 4, right? But the 2 people that we know is D-Mitty and DT. Hey, y'all, who y'all like about this? And whatever they say, bar for bar, is my take. Bar for bar is my take when it comes to that. And they already know it. So, yeah, it ain't no problem. They already know it's word for word, bar for bar. D-Mitty, what's your impressions of Sam Howell and what he can do in this league?
Oh man, that to me, that Dallas game showed me that as long as you have the pieces around that trailer, he gonna ride that train like smoothly. Because for me, the way Terry explained that pass, I think it was a 50+ yard bomb. He said, how many times you hear a receiver say that the quarterback walked the ball to? It felt like that right there. To me, I wouldn't say it's a microcosm, but it helps me look at Sam Howell in a way that you have Jahan Dotson, you have a De'Ami Brown, you have Curtis Samuel. So now you have the ability to not only just push the ball downfield with one receiver, but multiple receivers. And then I've seen passes that he made that was in what I call Kurt Warner-esque, where he led the receiver versus throwing it directly to them. He threw it to an open spot, led them to additional yak. So I love that about quarterbacks. And I knew he could do those things just from how DH was alluding to what he did at Carolina. But for me going forward, I just need that old line to be solidified. I need depth. I need youth. I need grittiness. I need nastiness. And I'm going to give you another play. I think DT put you on him too. A guard out of UCLA, Antonio Mafi.
Yep.
Nasty.
Yeah, we need those type of dudes, man. And thinking about how, like I think like that pass that Terry dropped, it really looked like I didn't think this ball was going to be here, type thing.
Yo, Red Zone, you got to think about this. He's received a pass from like 15 quarterbacks since he's been here in the 3 or 4 seasons now, or the 3rd season, one of them 2. Since he's been here, he's received passes from different guys. So you got to think he said it like he didn't expect the ball to get to him like it did. So that shows that Sam has the unique arm ability, which is something that all the scouts have said. He has generational arm talent, bro. He's a baseball player. Most baseball players can throw it. So he has great accuracy and great.
I didn't know he was a baseball player.
Yeah. Great accuracy and great arm talent to get it there. And like for him to be able to walk that ball to him, bro, like that's what you need, because that's what we were lacking this year, especially with Carson being out. When you're able to have a successful run game that's when all those over routes and those post corners and those nine routes are just open. And when you got a quarterback that can put the ball there and give you 2 to 3 yards to lead you to catch the ball, like that's what you need. And I feel like we would have more points if we were able to even make those throws. Because truth be told, we didn't have any of that when Ford was in the game. Like we just didn't have that ability. But you need to be able to have that, 2 shots a quarter to keep the defense on their toes, to keep them honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I totally agree. But the thing I liked about him was the poise that he showed. I mean, it may not have been a big game to us, but it was a big game to him. It was against a division rival. When they came to play, their best player on their team got injured and came back into the game to play. So don't tell me they didn't want to win that game. I don't believe it. And I'm glad he kind of threw that interception because I really wanted to see what he would do when he came back. And he came back as if he didn't throw it, which I think that's underrated when we talk about young quarterbacks, is them being able to kind of move on to be able. So I think that's one of his poise and how he came back after that interception was real big to me in his debut performance.
Yeah, man, I didn't expect him to play perfect. Like people were asking me, like, D, how you think you're gonna do? How you think? I was like, I really don't know because I hadn't seen him since August. You know what I'm saying? But I know that he can play well, and I know that he can. I really more or less was concerned about how everybody else around him would play.
Yeah,
knowing that the playoffs are out of reach. You know what I'm saying?
That was my concern. Yeah.
And let's get back to my point that I mentioned. I'm like, bro, those guys got pride. Those guys want to keep their jobs. So ain't no dude's gonna sit down. Ain't no dude's gonna, everybody that could play played, right? So those guys played and they played hard. You'd have thought this was a game to playoffs. Yep. So I really like seeing that from the team. And I think Sam was kind of the leader of that. And then even post game in the interview, man, I promise, bro, I could have teared up when he was in the locker room. Just the way they was just riling them up, just getting them hype. And he was like, we're gonna do this again next year. I was like,
let's roll these boys. Let's roll these boys. Yeah, let's
a little bit, just give you a little bit to hold on to September, bro. That's just all I need. I saw enough, and I'm like, all right, cool, I can do it. Which is why all my mock drafts and everything, all my thought processes of the offseason completely changed. Because now if they say they're going with 14, I'm going with 14. I got the motto now. We got a quarterback on a cheap contract. Let's do everything we can to put everything around them, support them, especially if it's not Lamar, if it's not Patrick Mahomes, if it's not Josh Allen. If you can't get one of those guys, or you can't get Burrow, then we need who we got in the building, put the best guys around them to support them, and just build it that way. Because that's how the good teams do it, man. They get a young quarterback on a rookie deal, and they ride him till the wheels fall off. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the next question, Dmitry. What percentage do you think that Ron really wants to go in with How? Do you think he's going to try to bring in a vet guy, not a vet guy to kind of back up just to be in the room, but someone to actually, bring them in to actually start or, compete?
I mean, for me, the best option is to keep the quarterback room as it is, at least 2 of the 3 quarterbacks. May it be Heineke, may it be Wentz, along with Howell, because you want somebody there that's coupled with him to help him continue to bridge the gap to become a better NFL quarterback. But number 2, I don't think they should go after anybody that's not of like Lamar Jackson, because you don't want to waste your time going on a retread. Just like DH just said, why do that when you have the young guy on the young contract? So for me, I think you do want to stick with Howell, because why else did he draft him? He seemed, I wouldn't say elated, but he did seem happy when they talked about him after the draft. Like, we got him in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I feel like they wanted to go with Howell this year, but to me it was optics and pushing for the playoffs, because you wanted a veteran guy under center going into the playoffs. They didn't want to force a young guy into that position. But all that to say, yeah, I believe they do want to go with Howell. And I think the percentage is over 40 to 50%.
I like that, man. I don't think, like, DH, do you think bringing back Taylor Heineke is going to somehow make it hard for the fans or the team or whatever to really embrace Sam Howell as the starter?
So I'm in agreement with bringing 2 of the 3 back. Of course, 14. And I'm not off Wentz not being here, but at a different number, right? If
Most
you bring,
definitely.
if you restructure and bring him back at a different number, at a backup number, because that's what he's going to be, I think he'd be a great mentor to Sam. Because if you listen to the press conferences during the week of, Sam has said that Carson and Taylor have been nothing but great teammates to him and great leaders for him. And I don't have any shade on Taylor being a backup. I just think that the you know, the Heineke hive is so strong that, and our fans turn quick. Sam
Yeah.
Howell, a 2 interception game, let's say he got 2 interceptions going into the third quarter, and Heineke back there, he not looking. If he's not looking well, they're gonna start chanting for him. And that's the last thing I want. I want Sam to have a true opportunity to be the starter. And I don't think he gets that with Heineke there. I mean, now Ron Rivera don't listen to us. He don't listen to the fans. You know what I'm saying? But everybody hears it. You know what I'm saying? Even when Carson that game against the Browns, bro, the second play, dog, the second play, and I was over here up in arms because I'm like, you haven't even, let's go back to my line. You haven't even given him a chance to fail yet. Yes, he threw an interception, but Josh Allen's one of the most turnover quarterbacks in the league. Dak Prescott turns the ball over the most in the league, and Carson has literally one turnover, one interception on a bad throw, and y'all are already chanting for Heineke. And you would have thought Heineke, and I think that was my main thing. I know, I'm sorry, I'm taking over. That was kind of my main thing. Heineke, in my opinion, was not that great to where he should just be starting over anybody. I mean, like it, you know what I'm saying? Like if
that's true, yeah.
he would have never got out. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he would be starting somewhere else. So that's the thing, bro. I think the delusion was killing me. But to answer your question, yes, one of them should be back. And like I said, I want truly, if they believe that Taylor is the guy, then let him go and do some of that elsewhere. Give him an opportunity to start somewhere else. But I don't think it's here. But I think if either of them are back supporting 14 in a backup role, then it's all fine and good.
All right, man. Before we get out of here, so this is what we're gonna do for our off-season expectations. I want you all to give me 5 things that you want, that if you can have it, they say, hey, look, I'm telling you, hey, look, these are 5 things that you can have during the off-season. No questions asked. We're gonna get it for you. What are your 5 things? We're gonna start with Mitty. And that includes everything. Business, football, both sides of the building.
I want first, the first thing I'm on my list is I truly want them to go ahead and get this OC locked up. I want them to get that locked up before the whole ownership thing happens. 1. 2 is ownership. I want to know who that's going to be. I want an ironclad, like, NFL Network breaking news ticker announcement. Who the
Bro,
owner.
no. Let me cut you. I don't care what Ian Rappaport says. I don't care what Shefty says. I don't care what Nikki Jabala says. I'm waiting until that guy that's in the NFL, that is the commissioner of the league, to put out a statement that we have the new owner of the Washington Commanders is. That's what I'm waiting on.
Thank you for you did that perfectly, bro. That's why y'all two are hosts of your own podcast. You did that's exactly what I want. I want Mr. Goodell standing in front of a podium with an NFL microphone logo, telling me we got an owner for number 2. Number 3, hit that draft, bro. Hit that draft hard. Like, when I say that, I want them to even look at the options of moving around and gaining extra picks, because they did it before. They went in with 6 and 7, came out with 8 or 9 picks. I want to see them do that. 3, 4. I honestly feel like the best thing to do business wise is to bring in somebody that's going to help. And I know this may seem a little nitpicky, the social media team, because I think somebody just left. And I think they need to get somebody into that social media team that's going to be more, to make the team more available than just those standard posts. You know what I mean? That we see on Twitter and social media. So help out there with social media. And 2, I mean, and the last one I'll probably say for me is, ticket sales, man. Like, keep promoting towards, gearing towards the fans with the promotions and making sure you getting the true fans in the building.
I like it. What about you, DH?
I say this, and before I give my 5, D-Mitty, to your point, bro, I think they did a great start to their social media team and their overall content by having some programs and putting together like a little mini Hard Knocks. They kind of went away from it because it does take a lot to do. So I think they did a great job with starting.
If that's your only job,
I mean, I know,
but
I do also think over there they got a lot of people doing a lot of different things.
Yeah, I agree.
So they don't really have it dedicated because there's some other franchise that their social media and their media department is just like boom, every week with just like stuff. But we'll get there. But I got 5 things, and I wouldn't necessarily say that they're in order. But I got 5 things. So I think I need a new stadium deal like ASAP because this is coming up in 2027 where FedEx is gonna be out. I need to kind of know where we're gonna be, what it's gonna look like. I'm sure Arch is probably already knowing what's going on. So
right. Shout out to Arch Deluxe.
But I need a new stadium deal. Following that, I need a settled ownership and front office structure. So I need to know who's gonna be the team owner, and then with that, I need to know what they're gonna do with this front office because I don't think the front office is bad, right? I just don't think they've had long enough to kind of get it to how they want it. I think Ron Rivera has had some time. So I would be okay if they decide to move on from Ron Rivera or elevate Ron Rivera to a true player personnel on GM type role. But I think Marty Herney and Mark Mayhew, they've been fairly good. So I kind of want a settled front office that will come after new ownership comes in. And with that, my third point is a clear team direction. Like, what are we going to be? Who are we going to be? What's our mantra? What's our motivation? What are we going to do? We're going to run the ball? Are we going to pass the ball? Like, I wouldn't be a running team, but, drafting Jahan Dotson the first pick last year. I'm just saying, But, like, what are we going to be?
2-1.
Right. And my final 2 points, I think young, innovative coaching talent, whether it's at the OC, whether it's at the position coaches, I just think we need to get younger. Ron Rivera has proven that he's a loyalist and he's going to go with people he knows. And he's going to go with people that he's comfortable with. And I truly believe that without the pressure of the media and the fan base, he would have kept Scott Turner. Forget what y'all say. He don't care.
Yeah, I agree.
He would have kept him. So I think we just need young, innovative talent, give some guys opportunities. And I think they've done that, with Coach King, and bringing Kerrigan back, allow him to get in there. And they both Senior Bowl coaches, so they're getting an eye on them too. So I think that's good. So I think he needs to expand that to some of his coordinator positions. And then finally, man, D-Mitty said it, but we just need offensive line, bro. Like, that was the one glaring thing from this season.
Yeah, man.
That was when the offensive line was bad, we were bad. Defense started bad, but they got better, right? There are also some spots on defense where you say we could need some help and some talent. But I think offensive line was the glaring thing when, multiple weeks we had different starting groups. And then regardless of who was back there, we was all being affected. So I think offensive line is kind of my main position groups that I think needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah, man. So for the draft, top 3 picks. I know D-Mitty, he's the type of guy that don't mind or that would like to move back in the draft to pick up more capital. I've even heard him say to get more capital for next year's draft. But if you all had the choice of like the first 3 rounds, however you want to do it, what are your picks for the first 3 rounds?
For me, I would say the first round is one of the 2 because of the way the big board is looking. It's cornerback, O-lineman. In the second round, definitely go O-lineman. And in the third round, you can be able to hit on linebackers. It's 2 linebackers out of NC State that I like that may be there in the third round. So definitely go cornerback, O-line first. If you don't go cornerback first, you get one in the second because it's going to be deep in those 2 positions. But in that third round, get you a linebacker like maybe like a Jack Campbell if he falls from Iowa, Wilson, or the other kid out of NC State. Man, they slipped my name, but they played so well against Florida State in that ACC division. Man, I can't think of their names right now, but there's two guys out of NC State that are linebackers that I think will pair well with Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb in that linebacker room.
I don't want nobody from NC State on my team. No, I'm joking.
Hey, I'm a Tar Heel too, but hey, I can't do it when it comes to talent, bro.
Right. No, I got you. Deuce, I would say, man, for me, starting out, man, offensive line. First round offensive line. It's not gonna be a sexy pick. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be the pick that everybody was looking to make. No. Give me the nasty, gritty worker. Let him come to work, do his thing. Kind of like how Sheriff was, even though Sheriff had some down times. Sheriff was pretty consistent for the most part of his career. But man, go and give me one of them tackles from Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Get me one of these big maulers to come out here and kind of protect your investment at quarterback. And then I would say in the second and third rounds, if we can't move around and add some more picks, I would kind of say we need to go defensive back. And linebacker, and my extra caveat, my fourth will be a tight end. I want a playmaking tight end. Granted, we got a bunch of tight ends in the building. I know Cole Turner can be that with the opportunity, but I want a playmaking tight end, somebody that you line up at receiver and you like, bro, just go get him. Some of the guys, you look at right now, deep in the playoffs, what's working right now? Kittle, you know what I'm saying? Schultz, when the Cowboys were in, it was working well. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we need some playmaking tight ends there. So that's where I would go, man. Defense, offensive line, D-back, linebacker, and then tight end.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I really didn't expect to go this long, man. I looked at the 42 minutes. I said, yeah, we way past that, John. But the conversation got real good in the beginning, man. Yeah, man. Go ahead, plug it. Plug all the podcasts, plug all the content.
Listen, man, do yourself a favor. Make sure, of course, while you're here listening to Deuce and Red Zone in the Lab, once you're done, all right, pop on over to YouTube and check out the D&D Football Podcast, where you can see 19 episodes of me and D-Mitty just going back and forth, talking about stuff. We got a lot of, we had some interviews, great episodes, had Mike Callow there. We're also looking to do a couple different things in this off season, some college things, and being able to get some more guests that we had lined up during the season and stuff changed. We had we had a real big guest that we had lined up, and we didn't talk about it.
Still working on that.
Yeah. We had a real big guest lined up that we was like this close, but then some news broke and then stuff changed. So that's still on the way. Of course, man, you support us, you support Deuce, man. But really, man, we just out here just trying to have some good content, man. So the D&D Football Podcast, you can search Breaking Command. It's all there. A lot of fun stuff. A lot of jokes too. It's a lot of good time, man. Me and my boy D-Mitty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Just like you're doing Red Zone in the Lab.
Yes, sir. What's that Instagram, D-Mitty? Because that D-Mitty,
I'm gonna chop it up.
DH, man, he got a heck of a
hey, D Will on the mic, man. D Will on the mic for a lot of comedy, a lot of jokes, a lot of fun stuff. Listen, man, it's off season, bro. So it's all jokes from here on out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mine kind of long, so I need to chop mine up too.
Yeah, man. Just real quick before you guys don't go nowhere. But I just want to take this time real quick to send my prayers and thoughts out to Chris Baker, Swaggy P, former defensive tackle for us, man. It was he put on his Instagram a couple of days ago that he suffered a stroke. Yesterday he was walking, and he's right now he's in recovery. So, everyone from here, from Red Zone DC, Red Zone Lab podcast and such, send our prayers and our thoughts to him, to a speedy recovery. To a speedy recovery, and for his family to be there with him. He was on the Instagram, recording his steps and all that. But we know it's a long process when you have a stroke and those because so many things can happen. Post those type of things, Bill. But we send our prayers out to you, Swaggy, man. Get better. You can catch Swaggy on Big Doug's podcast every now and then on Monday. So he definitely supports us, the content creators, and the Washington Commanders Network. So we send the prayers out to you and to D-Mitty and to DH. Breaking Command podcast. We appreciate the time that you gave us. We know your time is very valuable. And for you to spend it with us, we deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate it. To all of you, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I am Deuce. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.
Thank you for listening to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Red Zone in the Lab. And you can download our podcast at Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. And please visit our website at redzoneinTheLab.com. Thank you.